of chit chatting. Boom. We are live. Welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back.
Man.
Welcome back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in from wherever you are in the world. Drop in the chat where you're sitting. We'd love to hear. Back again. This is Kevin and Ronan. We are the call guys. We cold call live. This show
Yes, we
is
do.
sponsored. We have a sponsor. It's ConnectAndSell. It's your live conversation weapon. I don't know if you guys have ever used ConnectAndSell. If you haven't, you need to try it out. Load up a list, hit go, have instant live conversations with prospects in your target market. It really is that easy. We're going to share a bit of our screen today. You'll see a little bit of ConnectAndSell later on. But Ronan, one thing we should talk about, this was supposed to be co-hosted by Maria Bras. Unfortunately, Maria's
not able to join us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Maria's, I think her bathroom flooded and her house might be floating down a river right now. I feel really bad for her. So
I hope
shout out
not. I
to
hope she's
Maria.
okay. Sadly, we will have to reschedule the one with Maria, but we'll be back every other week. So we'll have a bunch of callers lined up for the next ones. But today, you're just going to hear me and Kev get into it. So I'm already ripping through a list here. I don't know about you.
You're already dialing?
I am loaded.
Oh,
I'm
love
going.
that. I love that.
So tell us, who are you calling today?
I'm going to be calling a list of founders, CEOs.
Excellent.
I got a
hope
list
you're
of
going to say that.
Yeah, I got founder CEOs, and I also have some sales personas, some folks that we might want to talk about doing sales training for.
That's my list. So I'm getting after sales leaders today that we're going to talk about doing cold call training for. And I'm going to share a little bit about the script that I'm going to use. You're going to hear my tone as I do it. But before we get into it, I'd love to hear from y'all in the audience. Feel free to tune in the comments, share where you're joining us from. We'd love to say hello. And also let us know if this is your first time hopping on Hop On Calls with the Call Guys.
Hop on calls.
Hop. All right, let's see. We got Giano in the room. What's up, Giano? And Kevin's actually going to be on a live cold call show after this one tomorrow. So tomorrow he's got another cold call competition that he's taking place in.
That's right.
Not making the calls, but coaching.
If there are cold calls being made on the internet, I'm probably involved in it. That is a fact. That is a fact. So, Ronan, talk to me a little bit about the boot camp that we're doing. I think we've had some really good experiences in the past 2 weeks with our boot camp. But what is the boot camp for people who might not know?
Yeah, so the cold calling boot camp is a live Zoom training. We take any cold caller through 4 live lessons once a week where we introduce you and teach the core concepts of good calling. So it goes from the call opener and tonality into the script, objection handling, problem stacking, and closing. And what we try to teach during that time is how to start more conversations. The challenge for most people is that they're using a lot of bad or old tactics, or in some cases, they haven't been trained at all. And they're using these bad approaches to try to generate conversations and meetings. And instead, they're just getting hung up on. They lack confidence. They think cold calling is slimy. Sales is slimy.
Ooh.
So we share a lot of paradigm shifts to switch that all around, do a whole 180. And we also share the secret sauce that Kevin and I have learned over the last 19 years of collective cold calling with over 1 million dials made, including whatever number of dials we're going to make today.
Wow. 19 years when you say it like that.
I know. It's been a long time. Well, so I got started in 2013 and you got started in 2014, right?
That is, I believe that's accurate. Yeah. 2014 is when I started my sales career. I didn't make cold calls right away though, because my first job out of college, I was the first hire at a startup.
Hmm.
I didn't start cold calling until I had the necessity to, until I needed to develop pipeline. But we were like so early with our product that I didn't do a lot of cold calling out the gate. But then, in that first job, I did something that I highly recommend that every sales pro do at least once in their sales career, which is get money on the phone. There's nothing like cold calling and getting someone to pull out their credit card out of the blue and pay you. Like that was intense. And I really enjoyed it. I was actually really good at it.
That's awesome. I've only done it for SaaS orgs where it's always been about getting the time. I've never done, that's the one thing that I have not checked off my bucket list.
Hey, let's try
Also
it today.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Ron, it's Ronen Pessar. How have you been? It's Ronen Pessar, not Mr. Wheaton. Can you hear me okay? Oh, no stress, Ron. When would be better? Next week. All right. Does it make sense for me to take 23 seconds to share why I was calling first? And then I won't even call you next week if it doesn't make sense? I will not take that personally. Totally understand, Ron. Quick question for you. Are you still overseeing revenue over at Product Science? Okay, sweet. Look, when it comes to your team's cold calling abilities, do you already have a way to make sure that your callers are booking at least one meeting a day? All right, Ron, I'll talk to you then. All right, bye. So let me tell you what just happened there. Head of revenue, actually really, really nice guy. He was like, oh, sorry, I thought this was someone else. He was like, oh, Mr. Wheaton. I'm like, nope, it's Ronen Pessar, not Mr. Wheaton.
Mr. Wheaton.
And then he was like, I got to go. I'm like, yeah, when would be better? He's like, next week. And then I hit him with that line. Does it make sense for me to share why I was calling in 23 seconds? And if it's not relevant, I won't even call you back next week. And he's like, yeah, but just want to let you know if this guy calls me, I'm going to hang up and it's not personal. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I got into it. And then I heard a long pause and he's like, sorry, I really can't do this right now. And this goes back to something you and I talk about and fiercely debate a lot, which is when someone is legitimately busy, like they're running into a meeting, like actually busy. Yep. My approach is to say what I said just now. When would be better? Your approach, and what I've also learned from our good friend Colin Mitchell, is you guys just get right off. You're like, hey, no worries. I'll try again later. Take care.
Deuces. I'm out.
Now, like, I feel like I have a good reason to actually connect with this guy. Hey, that was me. I caught you right before you got on the phone with Mr. Wheaton. Then I'm going to shoot him that in the note on LinkedIn when I connect him and be like, hey, Ronen, not Mr. Wheaton. Like that. Hopefully that'll jog his memory.
Yeah.
But why is it that you just bounce from the call?
Because process. Now, what do I mean by process? The only way that I cold call is with a rock solid process for follow-up. Meaning I'm going to call somebody 10 times, probably over the course of 8 to 10 days in a row until they pick up. And if they pick up and they're busy, I have it in my systems in ConnectAndSell, teed up, ready to be called the next day. So I don't need to force a conversation. I don't need, if someone's remotely busy, I'm going to follow up with them. And that's actually a really big differentiator. I think one of the number one problems in sales is that salespeople forget to follow up. It's the simplest thing. Consistency is key. If you're going to try to really get in touch with somebody and have a conversation with them, you have to follow up. You have to call them multiple times over multiple days. So I don't need to ever force the issue. It's kind of like what I'm saying. It's like, hey, cool, I'll catch you another time because I know I'm going to call them back. Now, if I was calling, if I had a notebook and I was punching 10 digits at a time, I would feel pressure to be like, oh shit, well, I got him on the phone. I should talk to him right now. Like right now needs to be when we talk about this. But since I have a really good tech process, I don't ever have to worry about it. So that's the approach I take.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about that tech process, because I think there's a big hack in there for people that most folks are not super aware of.
So the process really comes down to three things. We can whiteboard this out a little bit. Why don't we do that? So,
By the way, I'm still ripping dials here.
good. I paused because I love doing lectures. But we're gonna have a three-tiered system here, and we'll use our little metaphor of a weapon, our conversation weapon, right? So this three-tiered layer cake that we're looking at on the board, the bottom is your CRM. This is where the leads should live. This is your system of record, your HubSpot, your Salesforce, your whatever. I recommend going with the big one so that it'll connect to everything else. In the middle, we do recommend you have a sales engagement platform, SEP. So what that's going to do is that's going to sit on top of your CRM and organize your leads, allow you to take actions to them over time. The sales engagement platform is modern sales, right? The old version of this was a notebook, right? Old time sellers in the past 20, 15, 20, 30 years ago didn't have something that could keep track of who they talk to, when they need to follow up with them in an automated, easy fashion. But then on top of it, you put ConnectAndSell, which is our dialing solution to take actions to the people inside of our sales engagement platform. And this is actually like the way that I describe this to founders is it's a closed loop, meaning we're not taking actions outside of this. We're doing all of our activity inside of this closed loop, and therefore the tracking, the analytics, the data goes up and down the stack, and it all relates to itself. It all relates to each other. You don't have independent actions going on. So it's free consulting out there for everybody. By the way, Brennan and I get paid handsomely to do this with tech startups, and hey, we could do this.
Hey, Ila. Hi, Ila. It's Ronan Passar. How have you been? Yeah, this is Ronan Passar. Hey, look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, especially not on a Tuesday. So I can keep it super brief, and then you can decide if you want to hang up. Oh my gosh, sounds like I got you at the worst possible moment. All right, take care. I got sorry, I'm with my newborn right now. I can't talk.
Look,
possibly on mat leave.
Been there. Ronan, you've been there. You're going to be there again shortly, aren't you?
That's right. Very excited. All right, let's see here. Is this person even worth connecting with? Yeah, how about that?
Boop-a-doo, boop-a-doo-doo-doo. I am in the queue. Let's hope I have some conversation soon.
So my opener, as you can hear, I go right in with just hi person name. And the reason I do that is because they always respond with the same thing. Like, hey, who is this? It's that extra moment of like pulling them into the call one step further, because without that, if I
this is Kevin, the call guys. Daniel, how are you?
Nice.
Fantastic. Daniel, I know I'm a bit of an interruption here. I can actually hear that you got me on in your car. Dang. Well, are you talking hands free? This is not life or death. Right on, right on. Well, my name's Kevin Hopp. I actually run a business. I'm a co-founder in a business called The Call Guys. The reason I was reaching out to you, we work directly with B2B SaaS businesses to help them transform their sales teams and build a really strong outbound sales culture, doing things a lot like this. Do you have an outbound sales team today? Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. Do you have a new venture that you're working on? Okay. Very early, meaning like pre-sales, right? You're not trying to go outbound and set new meetings and drive business yet? Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're thinking about it the right way. That's what I always recommend for founders is to tap that network before you invest in going outbound, because outbound can be, if you're not aiming it right, it could be very expensive. So, okay, cool. Well, I will, Daniel. I'll stay in touch with you. You have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Ooh, so
Alrighty.
close. What
Well,
happened?
kind of not qualified in a way. Thank you for cheering me on, Gianna. Appreciate that. But this guy Daniel, he actually had sold his business, and because he sold his business, he's working on a very early stage thing. But they're at the point where they're doing founder-led sales, right? So outbound is. He mentioned they're pre-revenue too. So if you're pre-revenue, that's not exactly where we're supposed to be. But yeah, that was that. Onward.
On to the next one.
Yeah, what were you asking about right before when
I was talking about the openers. So, you have a slightly different one than what I have, but we have the same approach, which is we try to pull the prospect in quickly in about 3 to 5 seconds. By the way, I'm ripping dials still. So
noise.
The goal is to pull them in, because otherwise, if you go too long, you've lost them. So I try to keep it sweet, friendly, warm, to the point, and a little bit punchy as well. One of the things I've been toying around with is, when I go, "Hey, how have you been?" And if they ask, if it's a second time where they go like, "Sorry, who is this again?" Having a shorter reply to that, that's where I go in with my permission-based opener.
Hey, this is Kevin with the Call Guys. How you doing today?
Got one.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Hop. I actually run a business called the Call Guys. Dimitri, did I catch you with a second to have a cold conversation, or are you heads down on something else? All right, I'll let you go. Cheers. Boom.
Throwing the fish back into the ocean.
Throwing the fish right back in the ocean. He said, "Not right now, sorry." And he actually hung up immediately after that. So I didn't have a chance to hang up on him. It'll always fascinate me why people pick up the phone when they don't have time to talk. Not something that I do myself. Like if my phone were to ring right now, I'm not going to answer it. Why? Because I'm busy. I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But folks always are going to have.
Hey, John.
Ooh, let's go.
Hey, John. It's Ronen Passar with the Call Guys. How have you been? Okay, well, that's actually the reason for my call. Look, I know no one likes getting a cold call, John, especially not a Tuesday morning here, but mind if I share in half a minute while I was reaching out, and then you can decide if it's worth a chat? I appreciate that. I just want to make sure this is even relevant before I do my whole dog and pony show here. Are you still overseeing sales or revenue teams in your new role at Bill Technology? Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so this wouldn't be relevant then. I was going to talk to you about cold call training like I'm doing right now. I hope I'm doing a good job. I teach people how to do this for a living, so. Well, enjoy the conference, man, and thanks for the candor. I will take you off of my list. Take care. Bye. He goes, "Oh, I'm at a conference, but I'll give you half a minute." And then he complimented my what did he say? My cadence? He's like, "Oh, you have a really good cadence."
There you go. It's always nice. It's always nice when people compliment. I've had, ballpark 6, 7, 8 different people try to recruit me when I call them. And they've said, "Hey, like you're really good at this. Are you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "Nope, got a job. Thank you." you want to set a meeting to talk about my stuff? They're like, no, I don't want to. Not going to set a meeting, but you're really good at this. I'm like,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
I guess it's conference season. We're in June, huh? Usually June, July, August is like when all the conferences tend to pop off, summertime.
Makes sense. I am in the queue over here on my side.
Going for hopefully I'll hit the fourth one. But yeah, that guy is just a classic disqualify, move on, take him out.
Gianna, making a good point here. You don't sound like someone that I hate. That's good to know. That's very
Man,
good.
we should get Giano on the line.
I don't know. He's a marketer.
Hey, Chip. Hi, Chip. Yeah, it's Ronan Pesar with the Call Guys. How have you been? Well, thanks for asking. Look, I know no one likes getting cold call, especially not on a Tuesday morning. So I can keep it super brief, and then you can decide if you want to hang up. Is that fair? Yes, of course. The number 1 and 2 question is, who is this and what's this about? So I actually do cold call training, and I noticed that you're overseeing sales and revenue over at Shutterstock. Do you have a team that does cold calling by chance? Wait, no way. I think I know her. Okay. Okay, I will, if you don't mind, can I let her know you sent me her way? Okay. All right, Chip. Well, thanks so much for that. I will reach out to Megan. Take care. Bye. Got a referral. He's like, I do not manage the cold calling team or sales. I was like, you are a VP of sales. How's that? Oh, VP of sales innovation. Got to look closely at these titles.
Sales innovation?
That's a made up title. That's not real. He's not a real person.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. VP of Sales Innovation.
What does Shutterstock do with cold callers?
Does Shutterstock have a B2B product?
I guess so. We're about to go find out. And
Oh, yeah.
I am
for sure they do.
connected
They
to
do stock
her.
photography, right? So,
Oh my
everyone
gosh,
does
first
that.
degree connection. I know her. That's so funny.
So
You
when
gave
you
me a
heard her
name and
name,
I'm like,
you said. it
did you
sounds
hear me
familiar.
say that out loud or did I keep that in my head? No,
No,
I
you
said
said it.
I do that sometimes. Yeah, no, I know her. Why do I know her? This is crazy. Oh, through SDR Nation. Is that it? Yeah. She's the SDR leader over there. All right. She'll get a chuckle out of this. I'll hit her up. That was a fun one.
Hey, this is Kevin. Hey, this is Kevin with the Call Guys. Ben, how you doing? Yeah, my name's Kevin Hop. I actually am a co-founder in a business called the Call Guys. Ben, I could hear some background noise here. Did I catch you at the minute to have a conversation? Or are you busy? All right. Have a great day. What was that? Was my tone bad? What happened? He said,
No.
please don't call me again, and hung up on me.
Oh, yeah. You probably just caught him while he was in the bathroom.
Yeah, he had a weird background noise there. Oh,
that does happen, by the way.
Yeah, looking at his LinkedIn, he is a co-founder in the tech business, but he is the tech side of the business.
I see.
So tech-focused folks are a little bit, in my experience, they've been a little bit more straight and to the point, right? A little bit more, a little less conversation, a little more like, just tell me what this is about.
Let's see what Megan says. Senior director. Okay. She's been there for half a decade. That is insanely impressive these days. I'm going to pull her number and give her a dial. What do you think about that? Or should I save this for next week?
With ConnectAndSell, you can put the referral directly into the system. Oh, hey,
I did.
Kevin with the call guys. How you doing? Yeah, Andreas. This is Kevin with the call guys. I could hear some background noise. Are you in a meeting? Right on. Catch you another time. Cheers. Boom. I'm out. You could hear that he was in a meeting. You could hear it in the background.
See. Yeah, I love that feature with ConnectAndSell where you can just stick the referral right in the system.
Yes.
Makes it just easy. Successfully added. I imagine it has a British voice when I get the feedback note. All right, next one. So here's a concept that I'm a big fan of.
Hey, this is Kevin with the call guys. Brian, how are you?
We'll have to wait for this call. Better reel it in,
you don't know me, and this is what some people might call a cold call. I apologize for the interruption. Did I catch you with a minute and I can explain exactly why I'm calling? Yeah, fantastic. So as I mentioned, my name is Kevin Hobb. I'm actually the co-founder of a business called The Call Guys. We've worked with a number of different cybersecurity firms, not unlike yours, to help them really transform their outbound sales motion. We specialize in things just like this, helping your team cold call effectively at scale. Do you have an outbound sales motion today? Oh, you do. Wow, that's fantastic. You guys have inbound figured out, or let me guess, is it heavily partner driven, channel driven? Right on. That makes a lot of sense. You know, our biggest client here at the Call Guys is a cybersecurity firm, and they found that by augmenting the efforts they had going on in the channel and doing things like channel call blitzes and partner call blitzes, they're able to really maximize the effectiveness of their sales organization. Has that something like that ever come across your desk? Ever thought about doing something like that? Okay, makes a ton of sense. Brian, do you mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn? That way you'll kind of see what we're all about, and maybe if anything kind of piques your interest, you can reach out that way. Nice, cool. All right, Brian, I sent you a invite. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Take us through it, Kev. What happened? Take us through it. Give us the play-by-play. We're waiting.
Okay, so Brian, right guy, right type of company, cyber, dude, we crush cyber, right? And so I was trying to get that point across to Brian that, like, hey man, you run a cyber company, we help cyber companies crush it, right? I wasn't lying, guys. For the audience, none of that was a lie. Our biggest customer is a cybersecurity firm. Ronan, you know, your background is in cybersecurity. I've worked with a number of cybersecurity companies as well. Brian said that they do not do any outbound. They did it in the past. did not see a return, and they are heavily invested and completely focusing on their channel partner relationships. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
So you heard me kind of go at that and say like, hey, look, I totally get it. A lot of our customers are doing the same thing, but they found that by adding outbound calling, they were able to multiply the effectiveness. And he did not take the bait and said, yeah, thanks. No, thank you. But he was nice. So net, not a loss, because I got a connection on LinkedIn, and he's the right type of person that we want to be connected to.
I'm curious why it didn't work. That might have been the one thing I would have asked around, but like, that's a great approach, right? So like when someone goes, no, can't forget, like 30% of your market, according to the Chet Holmes buyer pyramid, is never, ever going to buy. They're not on the market. They're not going to buy. So that means 3 out of 10 connects will likely be hard no's. This could have been one. Like familiar with the approach, already did it. That's a respectable no. I've evaluated this approach. We just don't do outbound. It doesn't work for us. Now, why? What was that? Maybe he's talking about an agency. I don't know. But let's take it at face value for the sake of this point. Like 30% of your market will never buy. 3% of your market is currently looking for something today. 7% of your market is open to what you have to do. So it means 10%, 1 out of 10 conversations, you'll stumble into like an actual meeting because they'll be on the market. Then we've got like that middle 60%, and that's who we cold call for, right? We just talked about this in boot camp. You cold call for that middle 60% because those are the folks who can be influenced. They're influenceable. They're the people who are like, oh, I'm not really thinking about this, but yeah, I have that problem. Or I don't really think I have that problem, but when you say it that way, I realize I do. And that's how we write the script and how we ultimately end up, going after specific pain points. We talk about business problems, valuable solutions. Kevin, you know what I'm doing right now.
That's right. I'm a huge fan of that. And if you think back to that talk track I just had, there's definitely a lot of probing and provoking going on.
Oh yeah.
And this is something that I've said a few times on a few podcasts, and we just talked about it also in boot camp, which is if cold calling was just showing up saying, hey, what's up? I sell this stuff. Do you want to buy this stuff? If that's all cold calling was, we should all pack it up and go home because ChatGPT will replace us all and the world's going to collapse. The good news is that cold calling is really about sales conversations, and it's dynamic. And it is not just about saying, hi, I sell. Do you want to buy? I'm selling. Do you want to buy? I'm selling. Do you want to buy? It's actually about having that conversation and going back and forth, trying to understand people's businesses. So that was a good one. Onward and upward. Yeah. I'm back with you.
And while I'm dialing here, I might connect, but I'm going to bring it back to a point I was about to make, and then you connected. Let's see if I can jog my memory. We were talking about, lowest hanging fruit. So one thing I wanted to call out for everyone, this is a huge nugget. Like when I figured this out, I was like, all right, great. That saved me a ton of effort. If you've got a channel that this person engages in, they're active on LinkedIn, they answer their phone, you've gotten email replies, start with that channel. You got to validate your channels, but if you don't, use the information you have. So like I just connected with someone before Kevin did, gave me a name. I'm connected with that person on LinkedIn. I already sent her a DM. That's where you want to start. You want to start with the lowest hanging fruit in terms of the channel. And then I'm going to go look for a phone number and call, and then I'm going to try email. So when it comes to the multi-channel approach, start with the warmest channel possible.
And this is, a great angle to emphasize how important social selling is, like LinkedIn, like putting a face to the name. Having a large LinkedIn network, having a large LinkedIn presence, something I advocate every salesperson do, because you can have things that, just like what you just did, Ronan, like you can have those happenstance things like, hey, look, I'm already connected to her. So now when you're reaching out to her, it's your face. It's Ronan, the personality. She knows your content. There's some context there. So if you are a seller and you're watching this or you're listening to this and you're not on LinkedIn, you're not posting, and you're not, generating some buzz, what are you doing? You got to do that. It's a really good way to follow up to these conversations that you have.
Exactly. All right. Let's get the list going. Here we go. I do like calling salespeople. It's way more fun than marketers. I found
Marketers
CMOs are
brutal.
rough.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a number of campaigns when I was running my outbound as service businesses with marketers, and they are brutal.
Just straight up
Like
savages.
savages on the phone. Don't like just slamming people, you know?
Oh man, remember that call where the this was a call recording from ages ago. It's like, don't call me, take my name off your list. I didn't ask for you to reach out to me. Like, don't ever call me again. And the person was just like, Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
It was so brutal.
Yeah.
Oh man. You got to just laugh it off and move on to the next one. I mean, the mindset is to like, hey, Anthony, I'm fantastic. How are you doing? Yeah, this is Ronan Passar with the call guys. Look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, especially not on a Tuesday afternoon here. I can keep it super brief, and then you can decide if you want to keep having the conversation. Is that fair? All right. Well, question for you: are you still overseeing the business development team at Morningstar? So I myself and my partner, we do cold call training, just like I'm doing right now. All right, you bet, Anthony. Take care. So this guy had a business development title, but the other kind, not the sales kind. So he goes, "Oh, I'm not the right person." Take him off the list. Boom. Next.
Let's hear from our resident marketer here, Giano. Marketers have been tortured by "we can help you increase leads"
True.
for too long.
I think marketers do respond really well, actually, to disclosure. So, like the way that I use that permission-based opener is disclosure. Here's who I am. Here's what this is about. People respond better to that because they kind of can answer those big questions that are on their mind. Like, who is this? What is this about?
I think that's part of the beauty of cold calling is everybody wants to know the same two things.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you and why are you calling me? Who are you? Why are you calling me? But we were talking about mean people, right? I wonder, like, question for you. What do you think? Do you think there's a correlation between people who yell at cold callers and people who yell at people on the road? You ever driven with someone and they're just like, MF in this, you MF that, like they're just like yelling at every car they see that's like probably not even doing anything to them. They just like
These
yell
are
at
also the
cars.
same people who hate puppies, by the way, and candy and children.
It's like Cruella DeVille and her friends. Yeah.
Ooh, good throwback, Cruella DeVille. If she doesn't scare you. Yeah, it's a good question. Probably. They're probably the same people who yell at traffic lights.
Yeah. Like it's like having this
Hey,
like,
Bardo.
hey, this is Kevin with the call guys. Brandon, how are you?
Hi, Bardo. Dronen Passar with the call guys. How have you been? Yeah. So look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, especially not on a Tuesday afternoon here. So I can keep it super brief and then you can decide if you still want to talk. Is that fair? All right, awesome. Um, quick question for you. Before I do my whole dog and pony show, are you still overseeing revenue teams, sales? Ah, okay. Well, congratulations. I hope you enjoy your time and your retirement. Oh man. All right, man. Well, take care. Retired. All right. Let's tune back over to Kevin. What do you have over there, Kev? Are you still live?
Yeah. So that's really rare. In all the times that I've done hop on calls, it is very rare that we get connected at the exact same moment, and we did.
Yeah.
I got a guy who, as soon as he heard that I was, calling about outbound calling, said, "Yeah, we don't need that. Thanks, bye." And he hung up immediately. Like as soon as I got done with my value prop. So I think we're going to get a bit more of that calling executives. I am calling executives.
My list needs a refresh. I just got a guy who was retired. He's like, I did that for 40 years. Good luck.
40
like,
years.
I make my own luck, Bardo. I don't need your good luck wishes. I make my own luck by making calls. People often ask me, like, yeah, how did you and Kevin hit over 1 million dials? Because we use ConnectAndSell. We're using a parallel dialer. I'm already like 100. Let's see, that was 7th conversation. And there's my 100th dial. And we're 43 minutes in. That used to take me 4 hours.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's, I've told this story this way a few times before, but there were like 2 phases of my career. There's before I used ConnectAndSell and after I used ConnectAndSell. And those are distinct different things, because I went from making hand calls, like punching 10 digits at a time on a handset in the office, to using ConnectAndSell, and my mind just went and long story short, that was about 5, almost 6 years ago. And if you look at my LinkedIn, that's how long I've been in consulting. So I said, you know what? I've seen the way, the truth, and the light. People are doing cold calling wrong, and that's what we do. We teach them how to do it right.
See if we can get a good one here. I'd love to have a full-length conversation for the audience.
That'd be good.
Let's get into it. This is usually actually the time of the day, like the 10 to 15 minutes before the hour, where people tend to be trickling out of meetings, and sometimes they have time. So people always ask, like, when's the best time to make calls? And my cheeky answer is like from 8 to 6, Monday to Friday. Hey, Sean, it is Ronen Passar here with the Call Guys. How have you been? I'm doing fantastic. Hey, look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, Sean, especially not on a Tuesday afternoon. I can keep it super brief, and then you can decide if you want to hang up on me. Is that fair? Awesome. Before I do my whole dog and pony show, are you overseeing cold callers in your role, or just bag carrying reps? Are you overseeing cold callers and meeting appointment setters in your role, or are you just overseeing the bag carrying reps? Or the cold callers, the sales development folks? I can tell by your question that you've called me out on my limited knowledge on Teleris here, but I know that you're in telecommunications. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate the feedback, Sean. Thank you. You too. They have no direct sellers.
It was Teleris.
That was a very long-winded answer. He said 2 things. He's like, I like your approach, but it sounded like you were grasping at straws there. Do some more research on who you're calling before you call them. I'm actually vehemently opposed to doing research on who I call before I call them.
That's right.
Because he's like, just
Why
take
is
3
that?
minutes. Let's do some quick math. I've
Quick
made
math.
I've made about 120 calls times 3 minutes would have been 360 minutes spent on just doing 3 minutes of research. So 360 minutes comes out roughly to 6 hours. So he wants me to spend a full day of the week doing research so I can make these calls for people who aren't answering the phone. But he did disqualify himself. He's basically like, we don't have direct sellers. I really liked your approach, but next time do some research, know who you're talking to. We're the largest reseller of technology, brokerage, yada, yada.
Yeah. Talaris is what they call a telecommunications master agency. So
those are just gibberish words. That's not English.
I know all about Talaris. I know people who are Talaris. Their business is interesting because they're a middleman. So they don't really sell anything. They resell people's technology, right? So
yeah. Love the reseller space. All right, let's go on to the next one and see if they call me out on my lack of research too. But yeah, I stand very strongly in the camp of, and Gianna brings up a good point here in the comments, which is like, I used to do it, but it leads to analysis paralysis. You get caught into all these like rabbit holes you get stuck in, and it's a massive waste of time. Now, there's a case to be made for when it does make sense to do so. Small territory, very fine addressable market. You work at a large enterprise like Salesforce and you get like 10 accounts. Then, yeah, do all the research in the world because that's going to help you. But if you have a massive pool of prospects, play the numbers game, but be relevant. So I have the same script I use over and over and over again, and I'm trying to hit a certain relevancy. Now, I mean, these folks have largely not been qualified.
Kevin with the Call Guys. How you doing today?
Let's go, baby.
I'm with a company called the Call Guys. Tom, I know I caught you out of the blue here. This is a cold call. Do you have a minute? No? All right, cheers. That was quick. Does not have a minute.
Yeah.
You were saying relevant. What does relevancy mean?
It means know your persona, right? So I'm reaching out to people with the same title, and based on that title is how I have my talk track right now. So my talk track is meant for people who are in a VP or director role, actually, or C level role for sales leader. And the persona is the person who owns the revenue number. And my relevant point is, do you have a way to make sure that your cold callers are able to get a meeting a day from cold calling? And that alludes to pipeline, right? Which is one of the biggest two things they think about: close one business and future business. So that's what I'm getting at here. Is when I have a list of people with the same job titles, the same roles, they tend to have the same responsibilities and they tend to have the same challenges. These are also all companies of the same size, very large enterprises, a lot of them. So they tend to be the kind of companies that would have the problems that we solve. And that's the approach that we teach people as well.
I could not agree more. I'm in violent agreement with that concept. The idea that being relevant is much more important. The other interesting note. Hey, this is Kevin with the Call Guys. How you doing today? Yeah, Bruce. My name's Kevin Hopp. I'm with a business called the Call Guys. We've actually never spoken before. Did I catch you with a minute to have a conversation, or your head's down on something? Yeah, exactly. Bruce, I was curious. I was doing a bit of research on Athena Health. You're still there, right? Right on. Do you I noticed you were involved in sales there. Are you involved in sales management? Do you oversee a team of folks, or are you an individual contributor? I dig it. I dig it. Hey, stick with what makes you happy. If management's not your gig, then don't do it. It used to be. It used to be. Bruce, I'm a dog barking up a tree here. Obviously, I barked up the wrong tree. If you were me and you're trying to talk to somebody about outbound sales culture at Athena Health, a team that might be doing things just like this, actually having conversations with strangers, who would you talk to if you were me? Who'd you reach out to? Telemarketing is a dirty word. I'm having a sales conversation. Sales conversations with strangers. Cold calling is what I prefer. Okay. What was that? Oh, that's nice, Bruce. He hung up on me at the end there. Bummer.
What did you say? Telemarketing? It's a dirty
Yeah,
word.
he's like, oh, telemarketing. But at the very end, it was interesting because he was like, you could tell he was talking to me because he didn't have anything else to do, and then he said, "Oh, I gotta take this call." He just hung up in a second. What else? What also? What was I going to talk about? So the technique I use there that I like to recommend that reps use is the dog barking up a tree, right? A way to ask for a referral without seeming salesy, right? People generally respond well to that. He did. I mean, he was nice. He was having a conversation, but he could sense that I was talking to the wrong person, so he didn't really stay on the phone long enough to give me a referral. But so the thing I was gonna let's put a bow on the relevancy conversation, because
the
difference
that's a big
between
one.
doing a bunch of research and not doing a bunch of research. Now, here's the hard truth: the amount of research you do on a cold call before cold calling does not affect whether or not they're going to pick up the phone.
Bingo.
And what we know scientifically from making a million freaking dials is most people don't pick up the phone. So if we know that most people don't pick up the phone, then we know that most of our time doing research is wasted. Because even if you know everything about Ronan, I know what school you went to, I know the name of your wife, I know what kind of car you drive, I know what color underwear you're wearing, it does not affect whether or not you're going to pick up the phone when I call you out of the blue. So that's
exactly right.
That's another really important point for people to remember. If you're thinking, should I do 10, 20, 30 minutes of research before picking up the phone? The answer is pick up the phone, do your research later. Have a conversation that is relevant about business challenges and valuable solutions.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And look, there are cases to be made for when you do research, but it's usually around having a limited scope of who you can reach out to. Or if you have a super high degree of certainty and confidence that someone will pick up the phone, maybe you've validated their number and you've seen that they've answered in the past and now you're following up. Go for it. Should we, here's a hot question that I've been recently seeing floating around LinkedIn. Should you text somebody? I think you absolutely should, but not as a first cold step. Yeah. So if you're about to get on a call with someone and you want to see if they're joining, text them. If it's a hot inbound, text them. If it's someone that you've had to deal with, text them. If someone you've had a conversation with, text them. If it's the first step, if it's cold, you have no connection, don't do it.
It's illegal. That's another thing that we should mention. You should probably mention that in the United States, it is illegal to cold text somebody. Texting has to be opt-in, and that's why texting's kind of texting's like the holy grail of communication. Like everybody reads their text messages, and 90% of people respond to text messages. But
totally,
the government keeps it a sacred place by making sure that it is illegal to text people with, sales stuff.
It doesn't stop the 17 spammers I get texting me a week, but yes, that is true as well. So as long as you've had that connection that you've made, I think then that's totally fine. But people have asked that, and I've seen it floating around recently. I don't know what caused it to come out of hibernation as a question.
Yeah, it goes. It's like a cyclical thing. Like once a year, the great LinkedIn texting debate comes up. Yeah. I once worked for a guy that thought that he acted as if he had discovered lightning in a bottle when he thought, let's text people. And I said, hey, this is probably not legal. And he took a day or two to get back to me. And when he got back to me, he said, you're right, it's not legal. But it is if you have a connection with them. To your point, I'm once again in violent agreement with you that you should be texting folks. Hey, this is Kevin with the Call Guys. How you doing today?
Oh, you beat me to it.
Oh, he hung up. So without saying a word, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to double tap. Calling him right back. Eric. What's up, Eric? As a Might be our last conversation.
This could be it. Wow, are we already at time?
Hey, Eric, how you doing? Eric. Yeah, this is Kevin with the Call Guys. I can hear a lot of background noise. You're probably out and about, huh? And he hung up again. He was busy. He had a lot going on there in the background. All righty. Well, Ronan, do you want to try to get another one, or should we wrap it up?
Why don't we wrap with some lessons, some takeaways? So 3 things that I think matter from top to bottom of the call. With your opener, try to keep it extremely short and something that pulls the prospect in. I go with, hey, Kevin, super warm and friendly. And then I hit him with the permission-based opener after telling them who I am and where I'm calling from. The second thing is, like, if you want to get the conversation going, start with a probing and then a provoking question. So, like in our case, if I'm doing cold call training, my probing question is like, hey, just out of curiosity, do you already have a way to make sure your cold callers are able to schedule a meeting a day from cold calling? So it gets them thinking about, like, do I have a way to do that or not? And then I transition it with a disarming statement, something that's like, look, I'm not not a gotcha or anything. I'm not trying to call your baby ugly here or say that you have no idea how to cold call, but that's actually why I was reaching out. My partner and I teach a method that allows for a much higher conversion rate from conversation to meeting. Would it be totally crazy if we found some time to discuss this on Thursday at 4 p.m. for 30 minutes? You go for a specific ask on the close. You go for no oriented ask, and that's the third tip there. So top to bottom, we have a whole process. We teach this in the boot camp.
That's right.
It sort of mirrors what Jordan Belfort did with the straight line model and all the other great people out there, but it's better and and tested and proven and modern. So that's it for me. Kev, what do you want to sign off with?
Everybody tune in 2 weeks. We are going to have a great session with none other than Troy Barter. Really excited about that.
Yeah.
Let's give a quick shout out once again to our sponsor, ConnectAndSell. Thank you so much for sponsoring this show. And everybody, we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Happy dialing.